All right, welcome to our second open logistics talk. Now it's going to be Dr. Peters and Andreas Nettsträter, but before that, welcome to the Rhenus booth, and also, welcome after 4 years to the Transport Logistic again. We're all looking forward to be here, and many thanks to the entire Orga team for organizing this and making this happen. This event is a great opportunity to basically meet customers, partners, but also to connect to new faces and learn and explore something new. And that is the reason why we chose 8 logistics experts to talk within the next 3 days about the state-of-the-art logistics topic. And but now let's get on it. And the future of logistics is open source. That's this topic for now. Let me quickly introduce you these 2 gentlemen here. On my left, we have Dr. Stephan Peters, who is board member at the Rhenus Group since 14 years already, and recently took over the position of chairman of the board Open Logistics Foundation. On my right, I have Andreas Nettsträter, who's been the CEO of the Open Logistics Foundation since 2022, and is responsible for several topics such as open source content, community and network management. In addition to the foundation founding companies such as DAXA, DB Schenker, Duisburg, Rhenus and the Fraunhofer Institute, as well as several other companies, we are now at 25 companies roughly, which is a great success, I would say. Congratulations. And we're looking forward to the presentation and how joint forces between competitors can make a difference when it comes to open source applications. So feel free to take over and enjoy.
Yep. Thank you for the warm welcome, and also thank you for listening to us. And I'm very happy. Oh, now it's working. I'm very happy to have Stephan here with me, though, that we can have a discussion about open source in logistics. I think the first question which comes to the mind of nearly anybody is, why do we need open source for the logistics industry? And I think the answer is quite close. If we have a look how logistics developed, we can see that many of the big revolutions, like the containers, the pallets, all the other things, are based on standards. Competitors worked together, found a standard, adapted the standard, and everyone became more efficient, even if they were competitors, because they all have a link, they all have a network, and at some interfaces they always meet. And I think this idea of having shared containers, pallets, the definition of those ones, who said, no, let's do an ISO container like this, and I think also there to communicate this to the other companies, to the competitors, is really something which we can translate also to the digitalization of logistics, because also here we have a lot of different systems, a lot of different interfaces, and we need to find ways to communicate, to share data, to work together, and by that really to become more efficient by sharing the existing assets based on IT and good IT infrastructure. And for that I would be really interested to get to know why Rhenus, what are the ideas of Rhenus, so why also Rhenus supports the idea of open source is the right way for logistics. And perhaps you could also give us some examples where you see collaboration could work, where it didn't work before.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas. And a warm welcome also from my side. And please feel free to come a bit closer to us, because then we can get even in interaction. And I would be really happy if you raise any questions, points you are interested in. Just give it to our way to answer it. But first, really to your question, Andreas. So it was for us in the beginning really interesting as Rhenus to say, well, how could it work to be around with other 3PLers and collaborate? But then a key thing went really obvious in the beginning, to consider what is a differentiator. And Andreas, you made the point with the containers. I mean, a container in terms you are trying, even to a size we raised in these days as Rhenus, to say, well, we are the one standing alone and saying we invent the container and all the business with containers goes to us. maybe a good idea, but would never work. So therefore, we are coming from Dortmund, and we are now here in Munich, but in Dortmund you have really in the stadium something called You Never Walk Alone. And that was the basis of saying we have to share things with others which are not differentiators, but on the other hand, where we are 100% convinced that the next step to be world champion in logistics from Germany, from Europe, means to raise that point into a success story of being open source, shared economy for services, for applications, which are sometimes even white labeled to the outside, or which are services within applications what you would never see. And maybe you were asking about a bit of the history and how we came to. So once the founders mentioned by Konstantin were sitting around, we were saying, well, probably a good idea, but let's figure out how much IT we are already using open source. And from that momentum of the idea until the foundation, we were raising every time when we were buying software or we wanted to develop software the question, hey guys, how much of this source code is open source? And I never heard any number below the 30%, but all not logistic related. That was about administration, login, printing, and all these things which are not related to logistics. And therefore, it's for me more than obvious that we have to contribute to, that we have to collaborate and be part of that success story.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good point, because when we started to talk about open source, some of the developers came to us and said, when I started in logistics, I could never believe that there are no libraries defining, for example, how a transport order looks like. Or if I want to build a warehouse management system, everyone started from scratch. They all had their own definition. What is a storage rack? What is a pallet? What is a transport order? What else? So many of the people coming from IT cannot believe that everyone did it on their own. Even if it's commodity, it's not somehow market differentiating, but nevertheless, many of the companies just said, oh, we're doing it on our own. And that's one of the reasons why today we have that much different systems, and especially that much different interfaces between those systems, which makes it very hard to communicate and to share and work together. And I now mentioned this aspect of commodities, which means for us, it's like non-market differentiating services or processes or characteristics. And there, I would also happy to know, what are the commodities at Rhenus where you think you could share your knowledge with others and perhaps come to a solution which is a combination of your experience and the experience of other companies?
Yeah, this is really an interesting one. So, and I would like to take it from the way of our customers, of our partners. All the points where we cannot explain to them that a document, that a CMR is looking different because you are working with Rhenus, that a driver app is looking different because you are driving for Rhenus. All these things, what I don't want to explain anymore to our customers, to our partners. From the B2C, we are 100% clear that we need things easy to use. And not a lot of training and where you just start going. And this must be our approach. This is our target. These are the points where we want to share what we already have. And I come to that point in a minute. But where we also want to collaborate and jointly develop, because we are all 100% aware, and I see Joanna here, our HR manager. So we have the challenge in finding the people, and we cannot give things to be developed on an individual company base to these people. We are not attractive to them, and we have limited resources. So we have to share as service providers these resources and bring these things together forward. And what are the points we bring in? So we developed together with the Fraunhofer Institute at Rhenus Lab the so-called intelligent bin. And this intelligent bin was the first point of use case in the Rhenus data office where we go for the data destruction business. So the bin automatically says, well, I'm now 80% and I have to get picked up within the next 24 hours, whatever the contract and the service level agreement says. And the algorithm and the logic behind that, when we go there with the truck, because there are many, many bins. So there are 100,000 of bins out there who are saying, well, I am now a filling rate of 80. At 80, I have these 24 hours to collect. Maybe I have another one close by, just 70% filled. And in terms we go for a flat rate in pricing, it can be an optimization for us to say, well, we collect with these one stop also the second bin close by. And this algorithm we are open to share, to develop it further, because it has a basis in so many different use cases. So even there, what is the magic behind, we are open to share. And that should just show you that differentiation is a question of speed. For me, it's a question of speed. And this speed we gain in terms of the many, and now I come again to the people, to be attractive for a community of IT developers. That these IT developers start to work on these algorithms. That it is attractive either within Rhenus or with others who are part of the open source community, of the Open Logistics Foundation community, that they say, okay, I see a value add in contributing to it.
So hopefully you are now asking yourself, so why do we need the Open Logistics Foundation for that? Because we could have done it since the last 20 years, I would say. No? All our, let's say, our use cases are not that new. They are there since years. And everyone realized it's not a good idea to do anything on your own. But I think, and there, again, I'm very interested in the opinion of Stephan and the Rhenus opinion, because from my point of view, what was missing since the last years was really this, to have a neutral party in between. Because all the time when someone of the big logistics service provider said, I have a good idea and I want to bring it to the market, many of the competitors said, perhaps we can do it better on our own way. And we don't want to be the smaller part in this development. We want also to be visible and to be the driver. And from my point of view, this is one of the biggest milestones we achieved with the Open Logistics Foundation, to found the foundation as the neutral host, so the neutral party where such developments can take place without being only branded by one partner. And I think another aspect is also to bring together different people, because when you move around here, you see there are a lot of very huge multinational billion-euro companies, but there are also tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands SMEs. And if we want to digitalize, and we had the example of the driver app, we need to make sure that the drivers can participate into this change. And I think also here, to have a neutral party there could help a lot, because you're more on the same level when you discuss about the problems. And therefore, I'm really excited, and I really want to know for Rhenus, what was the reason? Because also you are one of the founding members, so one of the first movers, and why did you said, yes, let's do it and try it?
So it was really the development of getting the understanding. I can have a great idea, I can have others who join in, but one by one, it's really a challenge. And we were on that development in parallel, even outside the logistics, that much more community is driven. And what means a community? A community needs a frame. And for me, the Open Logistics Foundation is a given frame. And this given frame is open, as the name is saying, open for everyone, even for the non-members. And I would really like you to get involved with us and be part of this development of this community. And along the way, you recognize that it is worth to get member. But just join in and we touched briefly two working groups. So one is really the ECMR, the second one is the driver app, and the third one I would like to give you some attention to and explain why foundation and why these community approach is the right one. This is customs blockchain technology. So you have so many people in a community and the many people participating in a process. And in the customs, obviously, you have a land of origin, you have a transport, you have an import, an export declaration, and so on. And at some stage, it's arriving the product where it's got to be used. And there we do not have only the normal logistic service participants or the normal ones in the supply chain as part. There we also have authorities. And that comes to the important thing of being public, of being there, neutral, not profit-oriented, and for everyone to access to. And all the results are for members and non-members attachable, and everyone can take part of that one. And this is a key I recognized myself with customs authorities in Brazil, where we were discussing with them how fascinating and positive this will be. And their key thing was that the framework is giving, like the foundation. The second, that you have a community for further development, and being neutral third party, and that even the non-members can get the information out of. And there I really invite you to join these working groups, starting new working groups, challenge Andreas and the organization in coming up with ideas, and we are happy to develop with that.
If okay for you, I would just say one last idea I have in mind, and then we are open for questions from the audience. Because when you talked about what's the benefit of an open organization, and especially I would say we differ a lot from the many existing other organizations, because we want to implement together. So our typical result would not be describing on paper a standard, and then everyone has the challenge to develop and implement the standard with his own ideas. And in the end, it's somehow the same, but perhaps not 100%. And our typical result would be something like a software component, a library, a framework. So something where it is already implemented and there is no need that you interpret a variable in a specific way. It's already there. So I think we are one step further. We don't want to be a standardization organization. We want to be an implementation organization. So we want to bring stuff to the market and to the companies and really make it easy to use and easy to reuse in the different systems. But now, I would say, I see a lot of people here, so I'm quite sure that we will have some questions. So who want to volunteer and be the first one?
Thank you. It was quite interesting to hear and to learn about the Open Source Foundation. As you said, what you're putting in place is something new, and within logistics, it hasn't existed for the past 20 or so years. There are many vendors that are providing software solutions, transport management systems, warehouse management systems. Some of them have become extremely successful and have a reasonable market share. Do they see what you're doing as a threat? Is this something that there is resistance to from their side? Or is this something that they can also embrace and benefit from?
So I would answer with an example from our members, because one of the members who recently joined said, I don't want to be the one platform in the market, because I will not be the only platform. So my goal is to be a node in the network. I want to be compatible, and I want to make sure that my business model is working even together with other people, and they realized that this makes them even stronger and not weaker. So also they said, no, we can differentiate between what are our benefits, why are customers coming to us, and what is something like the commodities and the back end we could share with all the other ones. And by that, they said they grow stronger because they get much more customers than before. But of course, this is a positive example. I think there are also some negative ones.
And Scott, there we have to work on, because I'm really convinced that it is helping them in their development to be part of. And put yourself in the shoes of an IT provider, of an IT guy. So the repository gives you the information, what is already available. Do you want to develop things that are already there? And with the clicks, you see how often this service or this application is used by how many people. And you also see how many in the community are working to further extend and to develop. So therefore, it's something where you, again, don't have to put your USP to, but where in terms you orchestrate your whole applications and your way of software development and your products in a way that you get use of what the others also doing. You can take more out than you put in, and there's always a model that we are the white labeling in the repository on the one hand, and for sure everyone is going and will have their selling products beside. And probably we all know in these applications for our mobiles, so there are some that you get advertisement in, or where you don't have the full service. This is for free. But even there, then you have to pay in terms you want to have the professional version, let's call it like this. And in logistics, I'm convinced that these IT service providers will have something for free for us available as community, and then to have it really digitalized, automatized, with master data, interconnected, working, then they probably will ask for the money, which is fair enough. So for us, it's really the point to say, well, we contribute below with the white labeling, and there are many, many business models, and that would make me really proud in terms business models will be developed on the basis of what is in the repository.
Any other questions?
So this means that, for example, the driver app, there will not be one driver app for all, but there will be a lot of different software components which can be used, and also the existing ones, right? Is this the transformation path?
I think the driver app is a very special topic, because there it's really currently the discussion up and running. Do we want to implement an app, a full app, which could be the 101st app which is not used? Or do we find cleverer ways to make it more usable, and especially, I think, also attractive for the drivers, which perhaps would mean that it should look the same at Rhenus and Daxa and Schenker, because if we would differentiate there, then they all the time would need to relearn how to use the app. And there we are really in a quite technology detailed discussion. Is there an alternative to a traditional app? Could we use progressive web apps, a web service, messengers, whatever? So this is really currently the running discussion, because from the functionality side, they more or less, we have an agreement, but how to make it successful, this is what we are currently discussing about. And there it could be something like it's another app, and it could also be it's more like a framework. I guess it will be something in between, but we need to make sure that it's quite comparable and can be used in the same way.
Jörg, I would even say we will have both, or hopefully we will have both. So this framework for the ones who are continuously your holiers, you're working always with, they have a lot of share with the forwarders. And then we have the spot business. And in the spot business, probably the driver is not appreciating to having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 apps on his mobile. And there is, for me, the room for the new one, the neutral white label branded one for free to use these, because it's connected to the many, many forwarders.
I think that's it. Thank you for listening. And if you have any more questions or you want to discuss with us, I think both Stephan and I are available. We will be here the next days. So feel free to reach out. We also, as the Open Logistics Foundation, have our own booth. So you can also come and visit us there. And we are here the full week, so we would be happy to discuss more in detail. So thank you for your time and see you soon.